Christmas! I am so excited to celebrate Christmas with you, and I couldn't do a series about the royal guests of Christmas without my favorite guest, Steph the Altar Nerd. Oh, are you ready to go through the year in the royals? Let's do this.
Absolutely, hon. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Hope you're having a lovely day.
Oh, we are having the best of days, and we are here. We're not actually here, guys, but we're here with you so we can be with our families. But we wanted to tape this gift for you, running down the best of the year with Harry, Meghan, and the royals. And I thought, what better way to celebrate Christmas on Popcorn Palace than a rundown, right, Steph? So let's do it. As my guest today, this will be a lot of fun. Where to go? Here it comes. It's coming back. There it is. The ups and downs of the royal family. Look, this was the year, Steph. This was the year that you turned me. I mean, Harry and Meghan did it on their own, of course, but you had been going up and down about this, and I would just sit there going, oh, she's so crazy with this. Why does she keep talking about this? It's just so crazy. And this was the year, I will admit, I drank the Kool-Aid. I finally saw with my own eyes the insanity that is Team Sussex. And it all started with Spare, which was the big moment of the year, which sort of happened at the end of last year, if we're being fair. But it was at the end of this where things went crazy. Now, I didn't read this book. I didn't care about the book. You were going crazy over it, and everyone was going gaga over this book. It wasn't until a month later in February, when South Park decided to skewer the couple. And that was for me that I was like, oh, I get it. Oh my God, yes. I think so many people did. For those that obviously weren't following them religiously, do you agree it was South Park that finally slapped a sense in a lot of people to see them for who they are?
I think it was South Park that got heads to turn. I think really what got people persuaded to realize exactly the reality when it comes to Harry and Meghan was the New York City big catastrophe with the taxi and the paparazzi chase and all that lot. I think that was really when people started to really see the issues with Harry and Meghan, and then their heads started to turn.
I agree wholeheartedly. Before we even get there, they were booted from Frogmore Cottage. Let's make sure we're going through the timeline of things when they were booted out. We have Princess Eugenia's second baby. This goes through all the royals. Lilibet's christening. So we do have some happy moments too here, guys. We're not just focusing there. Prince Andrew's Royal Lodge debacle. He was, all this housing stuff that happened. And then we had King Charles's coronation, which was a big moment. And then, then came the infamous Harry and Meghan car chase, which I agree with you, really was the point where while the heads were turned and there was a lot of yep, you got him, South Park, you tell us. It was the car chase that actually then took what we saw in South Park and everybody saw it for themselves. Do you know what I mean? I think that's ultimately what really happened. It was just such a bad, stupid timing of them to come out at there all high and mighty. 2-hour car chase and la 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 la. And we literally were seeing the live in person. It was just they're doing it again. And it was the first time they came out thinking that the world was going to accept their victimhood, right? And the world was like, nah, dude, we're sick of you and you're whining. Go away. Is that fair to sum it up as?
Pretty much. Where South Park opened the doors to, roasting Harry and Meghan, because ever since South Park did that, you then had, Chris Rock with his live stand-up comedy show on Netflix. When he went in on Meghan, that then opened up to many other celebrities, including the Osbournes, going in on Meghan, up to, the car chase in New York City that, brought it into reality, whereby everyone was like, oh yeah, in reality, these two are jokers. It didn't help their cause when you had the mayor of New York City, the police, even the paparazzi turning around and all saying, hang on a minute, what car chase? Even the taxi driver that they had was like, excuse me,
trying to be nice, but clearly they're all like, that wasn't what they said it was. It was pretty embarrassing. And it's interesting. It's interesting because that embarrassing moment, I think, then tipped off the next moment. I think it empowered Spotify to be like, you know what? I think people are sick of these people. We can finally cut them dry. Because most companies wouldn't want to go out there and publicly take a shot at a couple like that. but Spotify did. They canceled Archetypes. They were clearly seeing that it was not pulling through. Now, granted, Spotify was losing a lot of money, and this was one of the reasons, because they apparently like a $20 million deal that they realized we got to cut our losses on this. And right after all that debacle, and after South Park had already called them out, they got empowered to kill it. And this was a really, so you had like, you know, the book, which was embarrassing. You had South Park completely skewer them. Then you had the world see them do it. But then you had your first real failure where they were like, no, you aren't as successful as you think. We're good. Adios. We don't want to work with you anymore. That was a pretty big death blow, don't you think?
It was. It really, really was, especially when it turned out in the press that they were let go because of low productivity. There was always this thing against Hazard and Megzy that they were grifters. And for Spotify to essentially confirm that with their low productivity statement was absolutely amazing to see. You then had Bill Simmons, an executive on Spotify, that went one step further and actually called them effing grifters and said, you know, there's
glorious
one podcast I need to get drunk and tell you the stories because you
I'm still waiting on that.
Right?
I want him to tell that story.
I want him to tell that story as well. I'm still waiting for that. You then had CEO Jeremy Zimmer from United Talent Agency, one of the biggest agencies in Hollywood, which, by the way, is Omid Scobie is repped by them. 60 degrees of separation there, turning around and saying that Megzy has no talent. No wonder she got dropped by Spotify. So, yeah, them losing that deal then started a domino effect of, okay, which deal are they going to lose next? And the rumor of them losing the Netflix deal just continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger each and every month.
Yeah. And it was a really big hit. And then came Harry's phone hacking case, which wasn't playing as well as it looked. And it didn't, he ultimately won. We'll get there, but it wasn't what he thought it would be. I think he thought he'd come in with, you know, applause and everyone, yeah. And it wasn't. A lot of the stuff in there, as we were reporting, it was kind of crazy. And the judge was mad at him. Like, you can't just keep bringing everything here. It was not the experience he hoped it was. And then we had Meghan posing with people at Beyonce's concert to try to spin her PR back to, as all this downfall was happening, she's there popping in 2 nights in a row to Beyonce's concerts to take as many celebrity photos as possible to make her seem like she's still relevant. And it wasn't working. And then came the Invictus Games, Steph, where finally our chance to show that we're more than just the Harry and Meghan show. No, the Invictus Games did not do as well. It did not fare well. No one was talking about this. I would have never heard about this, Steph, if I wasn't covering Prince Harry. This was on nobody's algorithm. And it was a lot of the people involved in it got really upset based on them injecting themselves in it because they didn't really feel like they actually were helping as much as they thought they were with the overall premise of it. Anything else to add regarding the success or failure of Invictus Games?
It was an absolute failure, this year's Invictus Games. Why? Because a month or so beforehand, I had reported it on my own channel. Angela Levin had turned around and said that the next Invictus Games, which are going to be the winter ones in Canada, the Invictus organizers, the backers there, just don't want it to go ahead now because it's turning into the Hazard and Megzy show. They're dreading it. They want to back out. They want to drop it like it's a hot potato. And ever since the Invictus Games in Germany took place, it seems that those rumors again are getting louder and louder and louder and louder. And so, yeah, no one's interested in the Invictus Games. And by all accounts, the Canadian backers and organizers just don't want it to go ahead now. They just want to drop it. They don't see any value in it whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a fail. That's a fail. They didn't, then another public hockey game outing that they were caught in, yada, blah, blah, blah. The Crown was a big part of the Royals this year where they did the recreation of Princess Diana, which was not favored by a lot of people. Some did think that was done delicately, but it was just one of those things that was so hard to win. Steph didn't like it, I know, but I talked to some others who came in the show who were fans of the show who thought it wasn't as bad as everyone's painting, but it is what it is. And then Harry's alleged birthday call to his father. Do you believe this happened, Steph? This has been reported a lot. I've talked about it. We've taped some guests of Christmas who've made their opinions, but I'm curious. Do you think an actual call was made to him on his birthday?
Yes, and I believe that Team Sussex is leaking this information out to make them look like, they are good towards the royal family, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. I think it was Sue. She'll be on, but she's like, I don't think he. I think he spoke to his father's like person, but I don't think she actually got a hold of him. I don't agree with that. I do think it would. I think Charles would want to talk to him and just, happy birthday, thank you. You'd hope at least that, but I don't know. But I agree, the leaking of it definitely smells Meghan and Harry. And then came Endgame, man. Just as if the year couldn't end smelly and fairly for them. This really exploded it again, and it really we stopped reporting on the Royals on Planet just because no one really cared. And this Endgame brought it all back, where everybody at the end of the year wrapped it up with just more frustration at this couple. And this was a bomb that I think they all thought was going to be the Endgame of the Royals, but it proved to be the Endgame of Omid and the Sussexes, and it's left them now backtracking to figure out, what do we do? How do we fix ourselves from this? It did not do what they hoped. Omid's credibility is just destroyed, and Meghan and Harry's silence is deafening on this book that allowed this racist bullshit to keep getting spread. And yeah, this was a massive end and perfect failure for a failure of a year. Thoughts, Steph?
Absolutely. I agree with everything that you've mentioned there. I mean, this, of course, we can't mention Endgame without mentioning the Dutch version of Endgame, which, unless it's already been released or is yet to be released, check out the interview that Andy did with Rick Evers.
I think it's dropping. Yeah, it already dropped. It dropped. It did. We had it. Yes.
Who broke the story about the Dutch version of Endgame, because in there, it seemingly, let's say, confirmed the two racist royals that Megxie was apparently alluding to in that Oprah interview. The thing is, though, that completely backfired, because why? Well, the two royals that are named, no one believes that was the case, that they were the racist ones. And even if that conversation did exist between those particular royals, that it wasn't racist, that they're making a mountain out of a molehill when it comes to that. And if anything, the naming of those two royals has made them more popular, has Megxie and Omid more in the dirt.
Yeah, well, the year ended with the Christmas cards, and we saw Harry and Meghan choosing to avoid their kids once again, which only added to the speculation that their kids aren't real, which I made very clear I don't subscribe to, but it is what it is. I know a lot of you do, and this doesn't help. It really does seem like they don't want their kids around, or they don't have them around. It was a very odd choice, and Archewell Audio was removed. So it seems like that's no longer a thing they're going to proceed on, because they can't. Funny enough, Queen Camilla is launching a podcast, Steph. She's figuring it out, but Harry and Meghan could not. I couldn't have put that on the end of the bingo card to know that the Queen is going to succeed in a podcast. But Meghan and Harry, you'd think, would be a little bit more on top of it, given all their Hollywood product, but no, they couldn't muster it. And then you got to end on William and Catherine, whose big issue drama of the year was, their kids' finger placement, which really is like, if this is the worst they got, I think they had a pretty good year, that we were so worried. Oh my God, what's with the finger Photoshop? Who cares? Who cares? This was all such a dumb thing. And that photo is still really beautiful. What a beautiful family. And it just shows Harry and Meghan have no sense anymore of how to brand themselves. And that's how the year ended, with them in shambles, quiet, trying to figure out what to do, and labeling 2024 the year of redemption as they plan their Hollywood comeback, which, if you missed my rant on that Us Weekly cover, go watch it. It was a very fun rant, because they are delusional, Steph. But there it is. Anything else to add for our wrap up? How do you think Harry and Meghan are feeling at the end of the year with all their successes and failures?
Not what they thought they'd be feeling at the beginning of this year, that's for sure. They're not ending on a high. They're ending on a major, major low. I think they're in panic stations. They have no idea what to do or how to rehabilitate themselves. They're desperate to get back into the royal fold, as far as I'm concerned. So my prediction is for 2024, we're going to see a lot more stories out there whereby Harry and Meghan are trying to reconcile with the royal family, that they're trying to be more linked back with the royal family in a more positive way rather than a negative way. And that's going to backfire because that's going to anger me even more. They burnt the bridges. That's it. They made the bed, lie in it. But yeah, we'll see.
We will see, and we will be here to cover it all. So if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Why haven't you subscribed? Let's get Steph. I know in the next year it's happening. We're getting Steph to 100K in the year 2024. So make sure you go subscribe to Steph the Alter Nerd, as well as Popcorn Palace right here, the one you're watching. Hit that subscribe button to our channels. Hit the bell for all alerts. That's what you can get us for Christmas this year. Smash that like button and leave your thoughts down below. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas to all our viewers. Happy Boxing Day tomorrow to all our UK visitor viewers. And stay tuned for more guests of Christmas. Oh my gosh, so many more coming. You're not going to believe it. But so grateful for you, Steph, for introducing me to this wild world of royalty. Oh my gosh, who would have thought I would have leaned in so hard? But you guys wanted it. We give you what you want. And I look forward to finding out more of this nonsense in the years to come. Thank you guys so much for watching. Merry Christmas again, and stay tuned.